What's next? On Friday, May 29th, 2020, Wayne Stieger asked, on the dollar bill it says, "In God we trust." The question is, what God? Whose God? Which God? And I've been considering this, mulling it over in my head. And I come to a few different conflicting ideas, and I'm still not quite sure. Now, I didn't look up any information about the history of the dollar bill or when "In God We Trust" has been put on it. I think I wanted to do it off the top of my head, and then after look into information and see if I can follow a rabbit trail to understand why it was put on, who put it on, and what the intention might have been. Of course, who can really know what anyone was thinking, or what anyone's, because putting anyone who makes a dollar bill or any money have to go through a process of multiple approval rating or whatever, has to go through a whole committee sort of thing. But someone had the idea, okay, this is what we're going to do. So I think it starts with the original person who had the idea and what their intention was, and then go forward from there. But thinking about it off the top of my head, "In God we trust," why would you put it on a denomination, a dollar bill for a country? And especially the, quote, most used, because a paper dollar bill is going to be one of the most used denominations of paper currency, at least. Especially now we have dollar stores and stuff, so although that might not apply. Again, this is just off the top of my head. So what God? Why would you entrust a God on money? In God we trust. I keep going back to the idea that, is it telling us that the dollar bill is supported by a God, that we entrusted this God? Or is the God the money itself? Is the idea that those of us who hold this dollar bill in our hand, those of us who have a pocket full of $1 bills, are basically worshiping a God of money and supporting it, and just going through our lives trying to make this God happy by working for this phantom dollar bill, by spending it on goods and services that are sometimes irrelevant. I mean, the American economy is based on spending money. And back to the dollar store idea, a lot of times the stuff we buy in dollar stores is a waste of money. I mean, the funny thing about dollar stores is there's a carrot and stick kind of situation where you buy stuff that, sometimes you walk in a dollar store and say, yeah, I really need this stuff. So you buy the important things. An example would be bleach. Or for me, occasionally, it's Pepto-Bismol. The dollar store Pepto-Bismol, which is brand name Pepto-Bismol, is actually cheaper if you buy the multiple bottles than if you bought a big bottle at the pharmacy. So sometimes you get a great deal at the dollar store. But I admit myself that at least 50% of the time, and probably more, maybe closer to 75% of the time, at the times I go to the dollar store, I'm buying stuff that's a waste of money, that is just useless garbage that unfortunately either breaks too soon or doesn't perform up to the potential that I think it had. I'm working hard to use the dollar, but actually producing no result. So it's got me thinking that it's not maybe the dollar bill that is being up and supported by this God, but the dollar bill itself is representative of this God. That we are servants to a constant, unending circle of chasing after dollar bills, not utilizing it in an effective way, wasting, quote, money, and then being obliged to pay it back in some form or fashion, and just not exactly ever gaining any ground, just constantly in circles, and most times losing ground. I mean, the American economy is based off debt. Most Americans are in debt. There are very few people who are not in debt, so we're servants to our banks. So is the God on the dollar bill really just banks? Do we worship credit? I do know off the top of my head that even the mint, the money that the mint makes is actually a corporation. It's not government. The economy and all the debt is like its own corporation, and it has no obligation to the United States government. That the Fed is really not government, and it's not actually tied to the government, at least the United States side of it. And of course, it's based off of nothing. It's not based off of gold, because we got off the gold standard in the 70s. So is that it? Is originally that the dollar bill had value. Every dollar bill had some kind of value where you could turn in the dollar bill and get some part of gold, some gold. That's what it was worth. But now, it's based off of nothing. It's based off of an imaginary thing, a debt, that the dollar bill actually has no value except for the value that we trust in it of the God. Are we, by using dollar bills, and in other times using credit or electronic debt or electronic transfer of imaginary money, is that just this magical monetary God that we're worshiping by just using money? Have we created a tulpa, an actual God of money? Are we just chasing our tails, looking for money, trying to gain more and more money, trying to save our lives, trying to live a better life, but actually we're just sacrificing ourselves to this God of monetary value? I don't like how this conversation is going, and I don't know how I got here, but just thinking about it scares me. That my whole life is based off of chasing after money, that the religions have nothing, that there is no God that this dollar bill is entrusted to, but it's created, that the dollar bills themselves have created this God. And all this money has been propping up this created debt God, this God of monetary value, a monetary value that had nothing. There's nothing, based off of nothing. So that's what tulpas are. Tulpas are created beings, created spirits from the minds of those who believe in them. And now I've come to the conclusion that the dollar bills that I keep in my pocket, that I collect. So I look at every dollar bill I have, no matter what denomination. I look at the numbers and look for repeated numbers and keep those and put them in my back of my wallet as good luck charms. I think I am part of the problem. I think I am using money as a good luck charm and reducing my own personal spirituality. Just by making up this video about thinking about something that our brain Stieger spent a whole hour on discussing what God is on, and God we trust. I've come to a personal crossroads. I've come to an epiphany that I don't know what my life is based on. I believe in a supreme spiritual power, but I never thought that I was actually worshiping the dollar bill. And is all America just worshiping the almighty dollar bill? I mean, you've heard that before, but I never really thought into it that I am part of the problem. That I am holding religious artifacts for a God that I did not know I was worshiping. Okay, I've spent almost 12 minutes running around in circles, so I think I've come to the conclusion that I am worshiping the God of dollar bills, and now I've got to look further into it. And I thoroughly encourage anyone to look into it too and have your own conclusions, because I would really love to have a conversation from others who more or less disagree with me, because I'd love to have other forms of opinion, because I don't like the idea of me worshiping a dollar bill. I don't like me worshiping the almighty dollar. I don't like me being so shallow. I'm just chasing my tail to chase after dollar bills that I never actually achieve and actually get myself further and further in debt. But you might have other ideas, and I welcome them. Please comment and subscribe and give me anything. When we disagree, tear me apart, be critical. I welcome any advice, any opinion, any perspective. What's next?